What will happen if the United States invades Iran? We ask this because President Donald Trump has said that boots will hit the ground if quote-unquote necessary. Given that Trump saw an attack on Iran as necessary, even though the mediators in Oman, the IAEA chief and Tehran itself said there was no imminent danger, then who's to say that sending American boots won't be necessary? I'm Ananya Datta, and this is what will happen if Trump invades Iran. For nearly a century, the United States has sent its soldiers onto Middle Eastern soil. The last time Americans were asked to fight a war was in 2003 under President George W. Bush. Tens of thousands of US troops crossed into Iraq as part of a full-scale invasion to topple Saddam Hussein's regime. The invasion was swift, Baghdad fell within weeks, and what followed was a long, grinding occupation that entangled American forces in counterinsurgencies, sectarian warfare, and nation-building for years.
The danger posed by Saddam Hussein and his weapons cannot be ignored or wished away. The danger must be confronted.
The conflict officially ended in 2011, but the aftermath gave birth to the Islamic State, and rest is history. One of the main reasons that the US decided to invade Iraq was because Israel's intelligence had convinced Washington that Saddam Hussein was harboring weapons of mass destruction, none of which was ever found, by the way. You see, the script is awfully similar in Iran this time. The US Secretary of State has gone on record to say that it was Israel that had decided to attack Iran, and because of which America was compelled to join the war.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
Now, this raises a major question. How does Netanyahu have so much power to hijack Trump's America First foreign policy and morph it into Israel First? Comment below if you would want to know the answer to this question. Today, we are looking at something even more dire. What happens if Trump invades Iran? This has become a legit possibility in the last 24 hours.
Are there currently any American boots on the ground in Iran?
No, but we're not going to go into the exercise of what we will or will not do. And so President Trump ensures that our enemies understand we'll go as far as we need to go to advance American interests. But we're not dumb about it.
Do you anticipate putting boots on the ground, and how long do you anticipate the conflict to last?
Right now, we're not postured for ground forces, but obviously the president has those options. He's never going to rule out anything.
Then Trump spoke to the New York Post and categorically said that he's not ruling out sending ground troops inside Iran. He said, and I quote, "I don't have the yips with respect to boots on the ground like every president says. There will be no boots on the ground. I don't say it. I probably don't need them, but if they were necessary." Now, all these three men at the helm of decision-making in Washington, D.C., Trump, Rubio, and Hegseth, have said ground invasion is an option. They've also warned that the heaviest attack against Iran is yet to come. Are they hinting at ground troops? You see, first is the ambiguity. Trump has floated many different timelines for how long the military operation would continue. This is very different from the 12-day war. The only part, in fact, that is consistent is that the war will continue as long as the president wants.
President Trump has all the latitude in the world to talk about how long it may or may not take. 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. It could move up, it could move back. We're going to execute at his command the objectives we've set out to achieve.
And that brings us to the objectives. Trump has laid out 4 objectives right now. First, destroying Iran's missile capabilities. Second, target Iran's navy. Third, disrupting Iran-backed armed groups in the region. And fourth, making sure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. None of these objectives are new, and this is something all US presidents have been saying all along. And these are the very topics that were being discussed in the Oman mediated talks. In fact, its foreign minister had said less than 24 hours before the war started that the fundamentals of a deal is within reach because Iran had already agreed to no nuclear material stockpile.
And I think nowadays everyone can understand fully that it was a sort of deception. They were not serious about diplomatic process and diplomatic achievement from day one.
Third, airstrikes alone cannot change Iran's regime or their mindset. If the US goal is to dismantle the current regime and install a West-friendly man, like in the 1953 coup that was staged by the CIA and MI6 that overthrew a democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, to make way for the Shah of Iran, then this is not possible without a ground invasion. And experts agree.
Unlikely that a regime change can happen through the airstrikes alone, through the air force alone. So this is unlikely to happen, particularly in a country like Iran, in which the regime is quite institutionalized, is quite widespread, with decentralized network of power that has been widespread across the country.
So the timing is sketchy, the complaints aren't new, and a regime change is not possible with bombs alone. So is the next step a ground invasion? You see, Iran is a vast and geographically difficult country. Its territory stretches far beyond Iraq's desert and even Afghanistan's mountains. Supply lines would have to be secured across hundreds of miles of hostile territory through desert, plains, and mountain ranges. In Iraq and Afghanistan, the US could move relatively quickly against conventional forces because it had the help from the neighbors. In Iran, it will be much more complicated. If ground troops were deployed, the first phase would resemble the early stages of Iraq, heavy bombardment, which has been taking place as we speak. This would likely be followed by conventional US units attempting to break Iranian defensive lines. But unlike Iraq, Iran's armed forces are not decimated by decades of sanctions or internal collapse. Let me put that into context. There have been sanctions, but these sanctions have hit the government and its people. The security apparatus of Iran is separate and has built itself with the explicit expectation of a conflict with the United States. They have entrenched defensive positions, advanced missiles and drone systems, and significant conventional forces, meaning early combat could be intense and drawn out. Once conventional resistance was broken, assuming it is, the real challenge would begin with urban warfare in major Iranian cities. In both Iraq and Afghanistan, US forces won the first phase quickly, but then became bogged down in cities like Baghdad, Fallujah, and Kabul. Iran has a far larger, more cohesive population and a deeply rooted ideological commitment to resistance. A foreign army in Tehran or Shiraz would likely trigger nationwide insurgencies, guerrilla campaigns, and widespread unrest unlike anything the US has faced in Iraq or Afghanistan. There are groups within Iran that the US can exploit, like the Kurdish militants, Baloch separatists, like Jaish al-Adl, and even Arab separatists. But even after major combat, the US would face the enormous task of logistics and occupation, like housing the troops, securing supply lines, and protecting bases in hostile territory that are already under attack. And the Congress, it is already wary of repeating past mistakes that have brought high costs, open-ended objectives, and protests back at home. The worry haunts a time when reports are already emerging that the US may have spent roughly $779 million of taxpayers' money during the first 24 hours of Operation Epic Fury. You see, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has already declared that this is not going to be like Iraq. And he's right. Iran is 3 times the size of Iraq. It is uncharted territory, even for the world's most powerful military, as Trump claims. So the question is not whether the US can or will invade. It's whether it can leave. And if it does, What footprint does it leave behind? Do let me know in the comments below what you think will happen next. I'm Ananya Datta. Thanks for watching.